Wait, can you go back really quick? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You were making 6 figures a year before you did ecom.
Yeah. I was making 6 figures a year.
Nice. Okay.
And I quit my 6-figure salary job to become a carpenter. Pretty much. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Wait,
right?
Like, you also do that?
That's it. No, so...
Welcome to this episode of the Ecom Prophet Podcast. Today we're joined by a special guest. And wait, I didn't even introduce ourselves. I am lazchavez. He is Richard motherfucking Telf. And then we got, who we got in the house, baby? We got Reggie, baby. What's up?
What's up, guys? What's going on today?
So what's up, man?
Nothing, just chilling. I'm having an amazing time. Decided to fly out, catch up with you guys. Getting ready for Q4. Just pumped, just super pumped to be here. Super pumped to just absorb it all from you guys.
Nice. So before we get started with anything, I know Laz and I have a few questions that we want to ask you. But can you tell people exactly what you do, how you started doing it?
Sure.
And just your everyday life.
Yeah, so I dumpster dive. No, sir. No, so actually I was an IT professional. I used to help small and mid-sized businesses harness the power of technology to reach their business goals. Basically, I would help companies find IT services or provide solutions for their business. And I loved it. I did it for the last 8 years. And I remember in 2016, I saw an ad to learn how to make money online by building stores, and the rest was history. So, yeah.
So what do you do right now?
So right now, I'm a full-time dad, husband, entrepreneur, karate instructor, uncle, friend, maybe a coach.
How do you have time for all that stuff?
I have time for all that because we built assets. Our businesses take care of us, right? And so when you get to a point where you're able to hire individuals to run your business, you now have time to focus on your passions.
Nice. So let me ask you, and by the way, guys, we have this little rinky-dink set up here because we're not prepared to have a third person on the podcast. So Laz and I have to squeeze into a little...
real close, Richard.
That's right.
We're here on the little spot over here while Reggie has the big boy table over there.
He's the guest.
That's
so he gets to have my special seat of honor.
Yep.
He's on the right
special guest.
right
side
today. So special.
Reggie, I have a question for you, man.
What up?
So when you first started, a lot of people when they start in e-commerce, they don't have the support of their family. You would be primarily your wife. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about how it was when you first got started? And just be 100% honest with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Was she supportive?
So in 2016, I think my wife thought I was going through a midlife crisis. Because
when I started this,
because she was just like, I have no idea what's going on with my husband. Financially, I was already making 6 figures a year. We just bought our home.
Wait, can you go back really quick? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You were making 6 figures a year before you did ecom.
Yeah. I was making 6 figures a year.
Nice. Okay.
And I quit my 6-figure salary job to become a carpenter. Pretty much. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Wait,
right?
Like, you also do that?
That's it. No, so I literally got promoted in 2016 to become a team lead. That same week, I realized I couldn't do this any longer. And it was after an event. I had attended an e-commerce event in Tampa where I saw individuals making money online and having the freedom that I wanted. So I remember waking up one day, going into work. My manager had just told me, hey, we just promoted you as the team lead. You get to move into one of these offices with a nice window. Congratulations. And at the end of the day, I told him I quit.
The same day that you got the promotion?
Yep.
How bad did you feel?
He felt really bad. He was like, what's wrong? What happened? And honestly, which was even crazy, I didn't have an exit meeting. I literally just left. And
wait, but you didn't give them 2 weeks?
No. And that's something I would never do. But I was just like, and as a professional as I am, I was just done. Actually, he texted me while I was jumping on a plane to meet my partner at the time, who actually had his own warehouse in Detroit. And he was like, are you coming back in on Monday? And I was like, no, dude, I'm done today.
How much money were you making when you made that decision?
From e-commerce?
Yeah, from e-commerce.
Oh man, so we were spending like $8,000 a weekend, and we were cranking out about 40K, and it was like, and we were taking home anywhere between 12 to 15K after cost of goods a weekend.
But why do you say a weekend? So you weren't selling?
We were throughout the week, but it was like that's what was the turning point. I remember one weekend after I came back from an event and we got serious. My partner at the time had convinced me to spend $8,000 on ads, on paid advertisement, and we cranked out $32,000. And then when I got my cut, I was like, "What am I doing?" Right?
Holy shit!
And that was it.
Where did you run those ads?
On Facebook.
Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So you started on Facebook ads.
Yep. Started on Facebook. Actually, that same year we generated $450,000 in sales, and that was from October when I left my job to December.
Wow. So 3 months. You generated $450,000. Your first 3 months of doing this.
Yes.
Dude, let me tell you, I don't want to say that you're lucky because I'm sure you worked hard for it.
We definitely were lucky.
But you know that a lot of people, they envy that. Like Laz and I, and we lost money for 7 months.
No, we were, and what happened was coaching, right? I talk about it all the time about, finding those that are doing it and actually getting around them, because when I went to said event, I found other people that were actually winning, people that were ready to coach, people that were ready to take us on as students. And I wanted it that bad. I didn't care. I was already working from 7 in the morning to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then coming home, having a quick meal, and then sitting in front of my computer until the next morning. And then when it finally happened, I was like, man, is life really going to look like this? Could it look like this? Is this real? Matter of fact, I didn't even deposit the money. He sent me a check and I'm like, this can't be real. And then I was like, let me deposit it. And then I was like, it cleared. It's real.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I just wanna kind of backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
Before you started and before you went to this event that you got exposed to this, I think it's normal for us to be hesitant about these opportunities and kind of think it's human instinct to think that it's a scam or that it's not real. When we first started, we saw the ads online and we're like, these people, start your own business, do this, do that. They're just stealing people's money. It's a pyramid scheme, right? So at what point did you know that it could work? And kind of how did you get past that hump?
Sure. So I've been chasing this since 2007 when my wife and I were still in college. And my first online venture was to make money online by filling out surveys. It was a ClickBank product. Actually, Ryan Moran, who's now a multi-millionaire, you guys see him now, but back then he used to sell his product, the MySpace Cash Bucks, where he was teaching people how to run ads on MySpace for ClickBank products. And so one of my first products I actually purchased and then started to offer was making money through surveys. And so since then, my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, was following this journey with me of, hey, I'm trying to make money online. We got our feet wet with eBay. One of the things that I was really good at with eBay was buying broken goods and fixing them. So back in college, I didn't have a lot of money, couldn't pay for my books. I would buy broken laptops and fix them and sell them out of my dorm room. So, and then we started doing that over time using Craigslist, eBay, and then I was like, hey, let's get into a program. So I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to this point. So when I saw ads back in 2016 to actually build an online store and actually make money, I was already primed. I was already ready. I'm like, I know people are making money. I haven't made the money yet, but I'm seeing everyone's success. My wife, who always supported me, was just like, hey, just don't lose your t-shirt, because I was always losing my t-shirts going in on ventures and they didn't pan out. And so that is when it clicked for me. I saw an actual ad to actually meet up with some individuals that were actually hosting an event here in Florida. And I was like, wait, I get to meet these individuals in person to make money. I got to do it. And I literally, even though I was making 6 figures a year, we were struggling, man. We still had credit card debt, student loan debt, car notes. I just retired my wife at the time. So it was one income, house note, and taxes, and it just was like, hey, I got to scrape enough change together to be able to do this. And I had to just believe that, listen, this is going to change our life. Yeah. So
going back to the question, because you
Sure.
said that your wife started working with you, right?
Sure.
You didn't tell us when she started, but when was that point that your wife started to believe in you more? Because when we first started, they don't, but usually usually something happens. There's a turning point where you either buy something or you show them a screenshot of what you're doing. What was the turning point for you that your wife said, okay, like this is real?
I still remember coming home and telling her I just quit. And she literally lost her mind. And she was like, and it was, we had already made the money. We had like made $12,000 in a weekend. And she was like, that's not enough to take care of us for the rest of our lives. You know, you're literally throwing your career away, you know. And even at that point of showing her that we were making the money, she wasn't convinced. I think she was convinced when that following week we had, in like 10 days, we did like $114,000. Wow. And she was like, wait a minute, what? And then the money was actually in our bank account because and then that's when she was like, wait a minute, you made $114,000 and it's actually in your bank account? And I'm like, yes. And then it was like, how can I help? You know, and her first task was actually managing our Facebook pages, creating content.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's when it actually hit your bank account, that's when she
and when it hit the bank account, she was like, wait a minute, what? And then it was real.
And Reggie's wife is Latina, so everybody knows how spicy they are.
Oh man. Yeah.
I just wanna, and I wanna piggyback off what you said. Mine wasn't my wife. I'm not married yet. When I first started, I was single, like not even a girlfriend. Mine was my mom, because I was going to college. I was pursuing mechanical engineering. My mom wanted me to get a master's, and I told her I didn't want to do that. That I was going to start doing e-commerce.
Yep.
And she looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, you're just saying that now. You don't really know what you're talking about. Like, you just think about it for a few days, and like it'll pass by." I mean, I was making money, like some money at the time, not as much as you,
right?
But I was making some money, and I think after she just started seeing the influx of sales, it got to the point where I was doing all these sales. I was inputting all the orders myself, and she saw me doing it, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm fulfilling orders. I can't stop." And she's like, "You know what? I'll help you." And when she started seeing how many orders were coming in, she's like, "Wow, this stuff actually works."
Yeah.
It's funny because for me, I didn't give a fuck what people thought. I was selling cars at my dad's dealership, and some people didn't think that I was going on the right path.
Right.
Everyone would tell me like, "Oh, what are you doing? Are you just gonna work at the dealership?" And I just didn't give a shit, honestly. I was doing whatever made me the most money. So once I started doing Shopify and getting sales, I don't know what the turning point for me was, because I just didn't give a fuck. I really didn't. For me, it was just like I was so laser focused on what I wanted that any outside presence, any influence from the outside was just non-existent for me. I was just going for it because I knew what I wanted, and I didn't care what other people thought about it, because it's what I wanted, and I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for me.
Yep. No, I totally agree with that. I think a lot of us, we worry about what everyone else is going to say, and it stops us from actually going all in. There's been plenty of nights I would pray and I would say, "God, please stop showing me this, because if it's not real, I don't want to go down this path and waste so much time and be looked at differently." You know, I was the first one in my family to like buy a home. I was the first one in my family, besides my parents, just actually hitting six figures so fast. You know, I hit six figures before I was 26 years old. You know, I was married before I was 23. So it was like, hey, I'm on this natural high of success, and then I walked away from it all. And so I was already getting, oh my God, oh my gosh, we need to figure out what we're going to do for them, or we're going to need to provide for them.
Reggie has lost it.
He's really lost it. They're like, my mother was like, "I can't believe you just walked away from your actual career." And I was just like, I walked away. I didn't have an exit strategy. I didn't even clean up my desk. I just was like, "Okay, guys, I'll see you guys later."
Dude, and the balls to not even give a 2 weeks notice.
No. My like literally,
like you just cut down all the connections, correct, and all the bridges. You were not going back.
I was like, I'm not going back. And my boss and supervisor, they both were calling me, and they were like, "What happened? We need to figure out." And I'm gonna be honest with you, I loved everything about that. I loved everything about my career, and they were very supportive. And when I said, "Hey, I'm leaving to go focus on e-commerce," they said, I think you need some time off.
Yeah, they probably thought you're making a mistake.
Correct, and that's what they were like, "Hey, I think you need some time off," and they literally held my position open. Like while the entire like for the 3 months we were working in e-commerce, I still had a job.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. I mean, if that's not definition of burning your boats,
basically I burned my bridge.
Where's that quote? It's like, oh, to take the island, you got to burn the boats.
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
It's definitely crazy.
You got to make it work, or you got to make it work.
I think for me, I think a lot of people, you do not need to quit your job to go all in on e-commerce. let me explain that. I think everyone, when you have, for me, I already had experienced success, and the success for me was like making that much money in a weekend. You know, it was a turning point. Either I'm going to stay comfortable in this cubicle all day, every day, which I was making $32 to $35 an hour for 8 hours, or I'm going to build stores nonstop and they're going to generate me that money. And, you know, every hour that I was at work, I was checking sales. I'm looking at them. My phone is just chinging. People are like, what's going on? And I had headphones on with my my Surface Pro 2, watching gurus talk about their experiences and their vacations while I'm supposed to be talking to customers. Don't hurt me if you guys are hearing me. And it became an obsession, an addiction. I truly feel that e-commerce can be a drug. You know, we said this earlier. It's funny when someone has an actual drug addiction, they find a way to get their fix. Yeah. They find a way to get their fix. But that's the same thing with e-commerce. We find a way to make it happen. And a lot of you guys have yet to accept that it's possible. And I don't know what it's going to take for you to like take the leap of like, this can change your life.
And that, I think that's a good segue. I wanted to ask, what would be your, I guess, best piece of advice for someone who's debating whether or not to start an e-commerce? Like, what would you tell them to, you know, do? Should they start on the side while they're working?
Oh, sure.
Should they like be, you know, right after work, devote like the rest of their time to e-com? Like, what would be your best piece of advice?
I think there's 3 things I would tell someone that's on the fence. 1, if you have gotten to this point where the idea of making money online is attractive, seek it. Okay, seek it to the point where it becomes an obsession. Number 2, understand that your spouse, significant other, your family initially are not going to support you. Right. Knowing that right away will save you the heartbreaks, the nights of, hey, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing, the looks, because you're already preset that, hey, they're not going to support you right away. And then number 3, surround yourself with those that are doing it. Right? And literally be active, right? Not just waiting. I have a lot of people that are in my DMs, that I keep in my DMs, that are not doing anything. They're waiting for me to tell them the magic button or the secret sauce. You know, come to the table with something. Tell me what you have been doing, not what you want to do.
Yeah, and you know, we get a lot of people like that.
Right.
What you just said about that, just do something. A lot of people who spend hours just searching up videos on YouTube or wherever it is that they're getting their information from, and they just never do anything with it. If they don't run the first ad, they're never going to go anywhere.
Never.
We looked at videos and stuff for about 2 weeks until we ran our first ad.
Yep.
But you have to just go into it, spend the money, and go in. People, they just look at it from the outside and they know it's a good idea, but they're just too scared to go in. And I think that's a huge hurdle that a lot of people don't overcome. They just keep going to their 9-to-5 job, keep working, even though they don't like it. Even though they know it's a good idea, they say, yeah, I can make a lot of money with that, but they're just too scared to actually go in. It's one of people's biggest issues.
I think, right, I have a couple friends right now, master's degrees, bachelor degrees, associate's degrees, that have been working a job for maybe 15 years, and the job just let them go, right?
That's insane.
Every quarter at my previous employment, they would call it trimming the fat. If you weren't, you know, lifting your numbers, if you weren't getting the sales, if you weren't, you know, productive, they were trimming the fat. Anytime bonus time came around, you knew someone was leaving. And you would ask yourself, hey, did I do enough? Did I do enough calls? Did I make enough sales? Because you wouldn't know until that week of. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, anybody that is comfortable and you believe that you have security, understand that you can be replaced. I worked for numerous amounts of corporations where they were bringing in during my time, younger students to take over CEOs, CFOs. Okay, I'm talking about multi-million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies, international. We're replacing executives with pretty much interns. We were interns. I worked in project management for a little bit, and I would watch executives being walked out every day, and we were taking over their jobs. So if you're comfortable and you feel that you have that security and you have yet to build something while the time is good, while things are good, you're going to put yourself at risk because people are losing their jobs.
Yeah.
You know, my father-in-law, he worked for, again, a multi-billion-dollar just aerotech company, and every 3 or 4 years, layoffs would happen. But while times were good, he told me to make sure I invest the money. So he would go and buy a home every single time money was good while he was working. Now he's been laid off for about 5 years, and now his properties are supporting him. Yeah. Nothing is promised. Yeah. And that's why e-commerce and Shopify and your program and everything else makes the most sense to me. It's a way out. It's a way to have some type of security blanket. Okay?
Yep. I wanted to ask you, so a lot of people think that you need a lot of money to start running ads. Mm-hmm. And this just came to my mind because I think that's false. I think that you can get started in e-commerce with no money. I agree. But listen to me really quick, right? Mm-hmm. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you start off by building an audience. All you need is an audience.
That's it.
You need a product, okay? You need a good product. You need to build an audience around the product for free, organically, and then you sell it to them.
I'll give you a prime example. My mother has been retired for maybe 10 years now. She makes $30,000 a month from Facebook groups.
Wow.
0 website, 0 following, and she makes $30,000 a month.
Explain.
Okay.
Because
exactly.
Explain.
You guys were like, what? So for 5 years, my wife and I were both vet techs, including my mother. I love animals.
Say it again.
Veterinary technicians.
Okay.
So we would handle animals, and so during that time, my mother decided to learn how to breed dogs. So my mother breeds dogs. As a matter of fact, she has transporters that picks dogs up from here in Florida and brings them to Connecticut. Okay. Then she breeds the dogs, and then she flips the dogs. So before I left, my mother sold a $5,000 dog, which she bought for like $2,000 earlier this year. And that dog's constantly making money for her because she breeds the dog all the time. She literally goes on Facebook groups, and she actually posts pictures of her dogs, not selling them, just saying, look at some of my pups, and people contact her, and she closes them on the spot. Wow. She does this every single month. She makes anywhere between 20 to 30 grand selling her dogs. Wow. No website, no audience, but she understands that she has a product, and she understands exactly where her audience is, and she knows exactly how to communicate with them. Wow. So in reality, there's no excuse.
No.
There's no excuse.
That's crazy. That's more than what a lot of people make. I mean, you have to kind of be a doctor to be making that type of money that your grandmother is making by selling dogs.
And just so that we're on the same page, she has cleared all 3 of her mortgages from her multi-properties just by selling dogs.
Wow.
Okay, so
that's impressive.
So exactly, her property. She's getting money from her property. She's getting money from her dogs, and she's enjoying her time, and she's doing what she loves. So there's money to be made hand over fist. A lot of us were overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's insane. I actually want to check real quick how much time we have left on the. Can you check Richard real quick? We're gonna send Richard over there to check. Usually how these things go is that we film. What are we at?
I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
You can also look at the camera. Usually the way that these go is that we do 24. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're good. Usually the way that these go is that we do these YouTube where we have these cameras on, so we can kind of like see they can see our expression, see how we're doing. And then we shut that off and we go onto an audio only section where we that we just kind of rapid fire questions.
It'll be yes or no.
Yeah.
It'll be some hard controversial questions.
I'm all about it.
And you just answer truthfully.
Some of them are funny questions. We'll just ask, like, kind of shoot the shit. But that's kind of the way it goes. So I think we're gonna wrap up YouTube. Before we go, guys, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you guys want to learn about. Let us know what you guys thought about Reggie's story. I mean, that's awesome, man. I'm super happy for you. I'm very proud of how far you've come. I'm glad I was able to help you along the way.
Amen.
In your journey.
Amen.
But yeah, super happy for what you're doing, man.
Yeah, guys. Just one last thing. I had their course for almost 2 years and did nothing with it. Right. So execution is key. Yeah. Okay. It took one of my friends, Carrie Ann, to say, "Hey, I'm tired of Facebook. Google's the way. These guys have helped me get into the course, get into the group, and be active." For us to be here, and 8 months later, we're just under $800,000. Just starting our store this year.
Wow, insane!
Wow, man, I'm super happy for you,
bro. You deserve it, though. Honestly.
Thank you.
You work really hard, and we see it. So you deserve it. I mean, it wasn't just a course. The course helped you, but also your work ethic. I mean, you can see it. So
Thanks.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah, definitely one of the hardest. I mean, you see it. It's people who are always asking questions, the most active, trying to reach out, trying to experiment too, because you experiment and you share your findings with people. Like, I'm trying to do this isn't really working, but I'm gonna try to do that. You're not trying to just take, you're giving back as well, which we really appreciate that too. Answering questions, sharing with the community, it's honestly like really amazing.
Guys, let's go.
Yeah, so
next section.
We're gonna dive into the rapid fire Q&A. So if you're following along, go ahead down below in the description and you can click the link. I think there's a link to podcast, whatever. We're on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, all major podcasts. So if you want to listen to us, we're there as well. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead, Johnny, cut it, and we are now into the audio only section.
No more videos.
No more video.
I agree.
You can look back.
Jesus.
Yeah, you can relax. You can lay back. You can do whatever.